Story 1. The Man in the Booth. Eric had always liked driving at night. The highways were emptier, the silence thicker, and there was something calming about the way the world seemed to belong to just him and the radio. But on this particular night, fatigue had started setting in hard. His eyelids felt heavy as the rain lashed against the windshield, wipers squeaking on their endless loop. He hadn't eaten since early afternoon, and his stomach reminded him with every mile. So when the golden arches of a 24-hour McDonald's glowed faintly through the storm, he pulled off the exit with relief. The parking lot was nearly deserted, shining with puddles that reflected the neon. Eric parked under a flickering light and jogged through the downpour, his hood pulled up. The moment he stepped inside, the storm's fury dulled to a muffled backdrop. The restaurant was almost empty, just two kids in hoodies whispering and laughing in a corner booth, and a tired-looking worker mopping near the soda machine. The smell of fry oil and ketchup wrapped around him like something strangely comforting. He ordered quickly, double cheeseburger, fries, and a Coke, then scanned for a place to sit. His eyes landed on a booth by the window. He slid into it, tray clattering softly, and for the first time in hours, let his shoulders drop. Outside, lightning stitched the sky open. He sipped his Coke, trying to shake the nagging heaviness in his chest. That's when he noticed him. Across from Eric, in the booth directly opposite, sat a man. Eric blinked. He hadn't seen him when he came in. The guy was pale, almost waxy, and wore a suit that looked decades out of style, the kind you might find in an old black and white photo. His tie was loosened, his jacket soaked through, dripping onto the vinyl seat. He sat perfectly still, hands folded, staring at the empty tray in front of him. Eric frowned. The storm was bad, sure, but how had he not noticed anyone walk in? The man's reflection didn't move with him. In fact, it didn't smile at all. Because the man was smiling. Slowly, deliberately, his lips stretched into a grin far too wide for his face. The reflection in the window remained neutral. Eric's skin prickled. He tore his gaze away, telling himself he was exhausted, maybe seeing things. He unwrapped his burger with trembling hands, trying to focus on something normal. But curiosity gnawed at him. He risked another glance. The man was staring at him now, his grin stretched wider. Eric's heart thudded. He grabbed his tray, nearly knocking over the Coke, and hurried to the counter. The mop-wielding worker looked up, startled. That guy. Eric stammered, pointing back at the booth. Who is he? The worker's brow furrowed. What guy? Eric turned. The booth was empty. Only the wet imprint of a body remained on the seat. Water still dripped onto the floor. Eric's breath came shallow. You didn't see him? He was right there. The worker shook his head. The kids in the corner whispered to each other, glancing nervously. Eric backed toward the door. He couldn't stay. His chest was tight, panic clawing at his throat. He pushed outside into the storm, rain drenching him instantly. He fumbled with his car door, climbed in, and locked it. For a moment, he just sat there, drenched and trembling. Lightning lit up the lot. The man in the suit was sitting in Eric's booth again, hands folded, grinning. And this time, he was looking directly out the window at Eric. Eric's engine roared as he peeled out of the lot, tires splashing through water. His hands were white-knuckled on the wheel, eyes darting to the rearview mirror. For miles, the storm swallowed everything. When he finally pulled into his driveway hours later, the house dark and silent, relief washed over him. He killed the engine, sat breathing hard in the darkness, and told himself he had imagined it. Fatigue. Stress. That was all. But when lightning flashed one last time, illuminating his living room window, the man was there, sitting in Eric's favorite chair, smiling. And the reflection in the glass didn't smile with him. Story 2. The Drive-Thru Voice. The storm had rolled in suddenly that night, turning the sleepy suburban streets into a river of black water glistening under flickering streetlights. Melissa gripped the wheel tighter, trying to see through the blurred windshield as her wipers thrashed uselessly. It was well past midnight, and her stomach growled with the kind of hollow ache that fast food could satisfy better than anything else. She spotted the familiar glow of the golden arches through the downpour and breathed a sigh of relief. A 24-hour McDonald's. It looked like a beacon in the storm, promising fries and warmth and a moment to breathe. She turned in, tires skidding slightly on the flooded entrance, and pulled into the nearly empty drive-thru lane. Static crackled through the speaker. Melissa leaned out, water dripping from her hood. "Welcome to McDonald's," a voice said. It was flat, low, almost mechanical. "What will you be ordering tonight?" Melissa hesitated. Something about the tone was odd. Not cheerful, not tired either. Just wrong. But she shook it off. Midnight shifts were tough. Maybe the worker was burned out. "Oh yeah? Just a quarter-pounder meal, Coke." And she thought for a moment. "Apple pie too." There was silence on the line. Static filled her ears. Then, "Are you alone in the car?" Melissa frowned. "Excuse me." More static. The speaker crackled like it was breaking up. "Pull forward to the first window." Her stomach twisted, but she obeyed. The first window was dark, no one inside. She pulled slowly up to the second window. The window slid open, and a young man in uniform smiled at her, his expression the kind of exhausted but polite you expect from fast food night staff. "Quarter-pounder combo and a pie?" he asked. Melissa nodded. "Yeah." "Hey, she hesitated. "Who was on the intercom?" The worker blinked. "Nobody. I've been up front the whole time. The headset's been dead all night. The storm fried the system earlier." Melissa froze. "No, I placed my order. Someone took it." The worker frowned, confused. "Miss, I swear. Nobody said anything to you. That system's been out since 10 o'clock. Melissa's throat felt dry. She paid, got her food, and drove to the lot's edge, parking under a buzzing lamp. She sat there, bag open in her lap, staring at the glowing restaurant. Lightning lit the sky, and thunder shook the windows. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. But curiosity, or fear, compelled her thumb to swipe. She pressed the phone to her ear. Static hissed, identical to the intercom. Then, "Enjoy your meal, Melissa." Her blood went cold. "Who is this?" Silence. Then the same flat, low voice. "You shouldn't eat alone." Her heart hammered. She dropped the phone into the passenger seat, fumbling with the food bag like maybe normalcy would anchor her. She bit into a fry, hands shaking, eyes scanning the lot. Empty. Then she noticed the apple pie box. It had been opened. And inside, instead of the pie, was a folded Polaroid photograph. Melissa's breath caught. She lifted it with trembling fingers. The photo was dark, grainy. But it was her. Sitting in her car. Right here. Right now. Except she wasn't alone. A figure loomed in the back seat behind her, face obscured, but smiling. Melissa whipped around, choking on a scream. The back seat was empty. Her phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. "Stop," she whispered. The voice came through, lower now. Closer. Almost like it was inside the car with her. "Window 3. Melissa blinked. "What?" "There's a third window." "Go now." Her shaking hands dropped the phone. She looked back at the restaurant. 2 windows. Always 2. She'd been through dozens of McDonald's drive-thrus in her life. There was no third window. Yet, in the far corner of the building, a light flickered on. Dim, yellow, like a bulb waking after years of neglect. A third window glowed faintly in the rain, one she had never noticed before. Her stomach churned with dread. Everything in her screamed, "Don't go." But her body betrayed her, hand turning the ignition, tires rolling toward that corner. The rain pounded harder, drowning the sound of her own frantic breath. The window slid open before she even stopped. No worker stood there. Just the smell of damp earth, rotting leaves, and something metallic. The air that seeped out was wrong, wet and cold, like it came from someplace far deeper than a kitchen. The intercom voice whispered directly into her ear, though no headset was on her. "Thank you for your order, Melissa. We'll see you again soon." The window slammed shut. The light inside flickered, then died. When Melissa circled the building, shaking and crying, there were only 2 windows. The wall where the third had been was unbroken brick. She never went back to that McDonald's. She tried to tell friends, but the words sounded like madness even to her. Months later, when she finally worked up the courage to check the bag again, stuffed in the back of her closet where she had thrown it, she found another photograph tucked inside. Her, sitting in the car. Only this time, the figure in the back seat wasn't blurred. It was smiling, sharp teeth glistening in the flash. And it was wearing a McDonald's visor. Story 3. The Empty McDonald's. The clock on the dashboard read 2:14 a.m. when Jason pulled into the McDonald's parking lot. His stomach ached with the kind of hollow gnawing that only came after hours of caffeine and long stretches of driving. He had been on the road since evening, pushing through the monotonous black ribbon of highway lit only by his high beams. The rain had finally let up, leaving the world slick, reflective, and ghostly beneath the sodium orange glow of scattered street lamps. He was bone-tired, brain humming in that strange twilight state between waking and dream, but he knew one thing. He needed food before the last leg of his journey. The lot was empty, eerily so. Not a single other car. The golden arches burned brightly above the building, flickering just slightly as though struggling against the stillness of the night. He parked close to the door, pocketed his keys, and stepped out into the damp air. His sneakers made a faint squeak on the wet pavement. The automatic doors whooshed open with a mechanical cheerfulness that clashed with the silence inside. Jason blinked, momentarily disoriented. The fluorescent lights overhead buzzed faintly. Every table, every chair sat perfectly in place. The tiled floor shone as though it had just been mopped. Yet no one was there. No customers. No workers. Just silence. "Hello." Jason's voice echoed too loudly against the walls. "You guys open?" He half expected someone to pop out from behind the counter, startled to find a late-night straggler walking in. Instead, the kitchen beyond the registers loomed quiet. Stainless steel gleamed beneath the buzzing lights. Fried baskets rested motionless. No hiss of oil, no scent of fries or burgers. Even the soda machine stood quiet, its screen glowing faintly but producing no sound. Jason frowned. He was about to turn and leave when the soft hum of music tickled his ears. Tinny, distant, almost like it was coming from an old radio in another room. He couldn't make out the words, just a low melody, faintly nostalgic, like a lullaby. He glanced around. The speakers above were silent. The sound didn't belong. "Hello," he called again, louder this time. Still no answer. But something had changed. One of the ceiling fans above was spinning lazily now, though he hadn't noticed it before. Its creak echoed in the otherwise still dining area. Jason walked up to the counter. The register screen was on, looping through its cheery promotional images. New sandwiches, meal deals, breakfast hours. Behind the counter, the food prep station sat untouched, as though frozen mid-shift. He leaned forward, craning his neck to see if anyone was back there. Nothing. Then, suddenly, the register beeped. Jason jumped. On the screen, words appeared, typed out letter by letter as though invisible fingers were pressing keys. "What will you have tonight?" Jason's heart stuttered in his chest. He let out a shaky laugh. "Okay, very funny. Someone's messing with me." The keys clacked again, the message changing. "Are you hungry, Jason?" His blood went cold. He hadn't told anyone his name. Backing up from the counter, Jason scanned the room, searching for cameras, hidden pranksters, anything. But the dining area was empty, pristine, silent except for that faint, haunting music in the background. The register beeped again. "Sit. We'll bring it to you." Jason shook his head. Nope, I'm out." He turned toward the door, walking fast, but when he pressed his hand to the glass, it wouldn't budge. He shoved harder. The doors were locked tight. His reflection in the glass looked pale, frantic. Behind him, the restaurant stretched endlessly, lights buzzing, chairs gleaming. And then, movement. In the corner of the dining area, where the play place tunnels began, Jason saw something. A figure, small, hunched, watching him from the plastic jungle of slides. Its face was hidden behind a mesh panel, just visible enough to see pale skin and wide, unblinking eyes. Jason stumbled back, heart hammering. "Who's there?" The figure didn't move. Instead, another sound joined the music. The fryer hissed to life. Oil bubbled violently, though no one stood near it. The soda machine gurgled, dispensing a stream of liquid into an empty cup that hadn't been there a moment ago. The smell of fries filled the air, warm, greasy, unmistakable. Jason's stomach twisted. He hadn't realized how desperately hungry he was until that moment, but the smell was wrong. It was sharp, metallic, tinged with something sour, almost like blood left out in the sun. The register beeped again. "Your meal is ready." A tray slid across the counter with a mechanical screech. Jason stared at it in horror. The fries were overcooked, blackened at the edges, steaming with that awful scent. The burger's bun was soaked, dripping with something dark, not grease, not ketchup. Something thicker. And on the side of the tray lay a paper cup filled to the brim. Jason leaned closer, stomach lurching. The ice cubes inside weren't ice at all. They were teeth. He staggered back, gagging. His heel hit a chair, and he almost toppled over. The figure in the play place was closer now, pressed against the mesh, face pale and waxy, lips stretched in a smile too wide for its face. Jason bolted toward the kitchen, hoping to find another exit. The stainless steel counters gleamed like mirrors. His footsteps echoed unnaturally loud on the tile. But every door he tried was locked, every handle refusing to turn. Behind him, the register beeped again, louder this time. "Eat. Stay. Forever." The music swelled, no longer faint but deafening. It was a warped, slowed-down version of the McDonald's jingle, each note dragging, distorted, sinking into his ears like claws. Jason spun in circles, desperate, panic clawing at his throat. And then the lights went out. Darkness swallowed everything. The fryers hissed louder, the soda machine groaned, and footsteps, wet, dragging footsteps, slapped against the tile, circling him. His breath came in short, sharp gasps. "Please, let me out," a whisper brushed against his ear. "We already have." Lightning flared outside, flooding the restaurant with white light for a single second. In that moment, Jason saw them. Every booth, every chair, filled with pale, soaking wet figures. Their eyes were blank, their mouths frozen in grotesque smiles. Each one clutched a tray of food that dripped and oozed with unidentifiable fluids. And all of them were staring directly at him. The light died, and the darkness returned. Jason ran. He didn't care where. His body moved on instinct, slamming into walls, knocking over chairs, pushing past counters. He clawed at every door he found, screaming until his throat was raw. But no exit came. And all the while, the footsteps followed. By the time the sun rose, the McDonald's parking lot looked the same as it always did. The golden arches glowed cheerfully above. Cars pulled in. Customers walked through the automatic doors, chatting about their mornings. The dining area was spotless. The kitchen bustled with workers flipping patties and pouring coffee. But if anyone looked closely enough, if they happened to peer into the reflections of the stainless steel or the dark corners of the play place tunnels, they might see him. Jason, his pale face staring back, mouth open in a soundless scream. Because the McDonald's was never empty. Not really. It was always full. And now, Jason was part of it.